am not teaching, I am publicly learning. Hi and welcome to Learning for the Life in UK test part 315. Theatre figures while doing Pilates leg training, and if you participate in the Pilates leg training, better set your arm risk. The first exercise, the Shishi Doshi. We're having one leg long out with a flexed foot. I'm tapping it onto the ground and bringing it up again. But first, before we're going to the theatre figures, we're having here not all composers. Benjamin Britten. What did he do? It was something like Grimsby, but Grimsby was one of the names together with Scanform, which is still from the Viking language as city names. Benjamin Britten, Billy Budd, and I want to know page 80. And the other one of here, William Warden. So William Warden. It was Peter Grimm's. So Peter Grimm's. Billy Budd. And it was Facade, which became a ballad of Sir William Warden. His best known works are probably Facade. Why not for everyone best known? I didn't know. Facade. So, end of the theatre figures. Dame Agatha Christie. I think it was about her written that she made the first murder mysteries. But what then Sherlock Holmes did, or are we younger? So, she made murder mystery stories. And did we ever knew more? Yes, and also Moses Trap or so. And was it this Moses Trap, which is the longest from the initial point running show in West End in London? Let's make a bet again. 81. The Mouse Trap, a murder mystery play by Dame Agatha Christie, has been running in the West End since 1952 and has had the longest initial run of any show in history. Are we going to ask which show has the longest initial run of any show in history and is running in the West End? That would be Mouse Trap. The Mouse Trap. And London's West End is known as Theatreland. Maybe we're going to ask that. I don't understand the sentence, but maybe we're going to ask that. Who is London's West End? Is this a theatre or a region? London's West End, also known as Theatreland, is particularly well known for what they are an important part of local communities and often show both professional and amateur productions. There are theatres in most towns and cities. You know, the towns, the cities or the theatre? Okay, Dame Agatha Christie, she made murder mystery plays, and her play The Mouse Trap, 1952, running in longest initial show running in West End, London West Ends, and the West End London theatres. Gilbert and Sullivan, we wanted to learn them a little bit. I still know HMS Piano 4, and another one was also funny, but it was like Mikado, but it was a different name. Gilbert and Sullivan, they made comical operas. So one was HMS Piano 4 and the other one was the Mikado, 81 also. The Mikado. And the other one was The Pirates of Penzance. Now the next exercise. The Healthhammer, having a long leg out with a flexed foot and the bending it at the knee. Gilbert and Sullivan wrote comic operas, often making fun of popular culture and politics. HMS Pinafore, The Pirates of Penzance, and Mikado. Gilbert and Sullivan's work is still often staged by professional and amateur groups. HMS Pinafore, The Pirates of Penzance, and The Mikado. The Pirates of Penzance. It's not so hard for me to know all three. I already know 1.5. HMS Pinafore, The Mikado, and The Pirates of Penzance. And then we have here Baron Andrew Lloyd Webber. He did a bunch of musicals. And they named here Jesus Christ Superstar, Cats, and something with Dave. No, nothing with Dave. They did it together with Sir Tim Rice. Some of them. So Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, Cats, and the Phantom of the Opera. Which one did I just say? I said something with Dave. Okay, the other leg now, the same. So Andrew Lloyd Webber. And he made some or all in collaboration with Sir Tim Rice. So Sir Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber, they have all something to do with the music for shows. Jesus Christ Superstar, Evita, Cats, the Phantom of the Opera. So the Phantom of the Opera and Cats and Jesus Christ Superstar, and then Evita. Maybe I had something with Dave because of Evita. Evita. Okay, that are certain rice and annualized weather. And when we're having Sir Lawrence Oliver, the next exercise, that is the hammerhead shark. Leg in with the flex foot, and we're bringing it up and again down. So Sir Lawrence Oliver, he is particularly well known for playing Shakespeare roles. And there's the Sir Lawrence Oliver given out to directors and best acting persons. I don't think we had that more. And then there's Harold Pinter. Now that was one we wanted to remember. Now was it not? Let's think about it. When were we architects? We have still here. Sir Norman Foster, Lord Richard Rogers, and Dame Zaha Hadid. Okay, and now is the question. There were 3 people who won the Literature Nobel Prize for changing the leg. Now, and these were Sir William Golding, Seamus Henney, and Harold Pinter. What do I have wrong? 85. Harold Pinter. Novelist Sir William Golding, poet Seamus Henney, and playwright Harold Pinter. That is actually the reason they have split it a bit, because we have one of a poet and novelist, and that is no playwright, and we're having here theater figures. Okay, we're gonna do them 3. They 3 won the Nobel Prize for writing. Although one of them was a playwright, Harold Pinter. Okay, Sir William Golding, Seamus Henney, and Harold Pinter. We're not gonna ask who of them was a playwright or who of them was a poet. They all won for the Nobel here Literature Prize. The next exercise. A leg long out, flex foot, and we're bringing it to the outside, hiding it in. Okay, Sir William Golding, Seamus Henney, Harold Pinter. And then we had just here the Sir Norman Foster, Lord Richard Rogers, and Dame Zaha Hadid. And the fashion people were Maya Quant, because we have here Maya Quant, Alexander McQueen, and Vivian Westwood. And then we had some gardens, there were Kew Gardens in Sissinghurst in England, Graves Castle in Inverary, is it in here? No. Graves Castle and Inverary Castle in where was it? In Scotland, must it be? Graves Castle and Inverary Castle in Scotland. Now in Wales there was, when the other thing at Mount Stuart, there was in Northern Garden, in Northern Ireland, and Bodmin Garden was in Wales. Maybe we're gonna do it later again. And is it in here? No, J.R. Token? No. Okay, it's not a theater figure. Now these were the theater figures. If you were just here for theater figures, these were the theater figures. The next part will be artists. For now, we're not gonna do anything new anymore. If you were just here for theater figures and you only want to come back for the artists, then you can go directly to the next part. We have changed the leg. Okay, the civil courts. Why is it always opening? The civil courts. Civil courts. There's the High Court for large compensation claims, and in Scotland it is the Court of Session. Now, and for smaller things, smaller civil disputes, that are the county courts or the sheriff courts, and there is the small procedure claim, the small claim procedure also. And that is for money, 10,000. And when the people are meeting in a room and when they're talking about it, and then they're figuring it out with the judge together. Now the next exercise, leg out and tapping onto the floor, bring it up, going to be outside and tapping again onto the floor. And when there's no criminal law, criminal courts, these are the Crown Courts, except for in Scotland there are the Sheriff Courts, or for very serious cases in Scotland the High Courts. And they are for judge and jury, which are unqualified. No, but it's the magistrates. Judge and jury. But the jury is also unpaid and unqualified, probably. Now, or before a sheriff and a jury, and before a jury, the sheriff courts or high courts. And then there for smaller criminal offenses, there are the magistrate courts. And there are the magistrates, or in Scotland it is the court of. Now it's the peace of the courts, courts of the peace, county of the peace courts, peace at courts of the courts. Something with J. Judges of a Peace Court. Is that really the title? Judges of a Peace Court. Justice. Okay, justice. Justice of a Peace Court. And when they're out, youth courts 10 to 17 if they are closed. Parents and care should attend. They are free, specially schooled magistrates or judge. And then there is in Scotland the trial and hearing system, and in Northern Ireland additionally the youth conferencing system. Okay, do we have time for the architects? I think that is a good time for the architects. We're done with all these exercises. In 5 seconds we're going to start with a 4-minute and 10-minute plank. 4 minute and 10 seconds plank. So, and end of the plank. And we rather to high than to low with the back. And tuck the tail on it. So to the architectural stuff. There are many cathedrals still standing from medieval times. For example, Canterbury, Salisbury, Durham, and another one. And the White Tower of the Tower of London is an example of Norman architecture still standing. Now there were great country houses built. Was it Hardwick Hall? I think Hardwick Hall is one of them. Now there were architects. For example, Indigo Jones. He built Queen's House in Greenwich in London, and also Banqueting House in Whitehall in London. Maybe confused something, but it's 90% correctly. And then there was someone else, Sir Edwin Lutyens. He designed New Delhi, and the cenotaph in London, which is an important part of a commemoration ceremony on the 11th of November every year. In the mid-19th century, the Gothic style, the medieval Gothic style, experienced its revival. And for example, the town halls of Manchester and Sheffield are built in that style, and also the Houses of Parliament and St. Pancras Station. There was something more. There was another section. I don't know what was in there. Now, there were, for example, Lancelot Capability Brown. He designed the landscapes around of country houses. And together with Sir Edwin Lutyens, it did for a couple of times work Gertrude Jekyll. I'm not sure if anyone has ever pronounced that name that way. Gertrude Jekyll. Yes, and she designed the gardens. And there is the Chelsea Flower Show, in which gardens are showplaced from England and around the world, from Great Britain, from Britain and around the world. Now I think that was all what is written there. We don't have time for the festivals. So what are we talking now about? What about the flowers, because that would fit. England has the rose. And that is oftentimes celebrated at the St. George Day on the 23rd April. And Wales has the daffodil, and that is often celebrated on the St. David's Day. That is on the 1st March. And Scotland has the shamrock. Now the thistle. Scotland has the thistle, and that is often celebrated with St. Andrew's Day on the 30th November. Northern Ireland has the shamrock, and that is celebrated oftentimes at St. Patrick's Day on the 17th March. Now I'm out of ideas what we could talk about. So we're basically just waiting and listening to the rain. .15 seconds. At 5. And with 4 minutes and 10 seconds, I don't really have anything else to say. So thank you very much, and until next time.